Dave Rubin debated Parker get a job, among others. Let's give this a listen, see how it went. Badly is the answer, by the way.
You're arguing that things economically were better under Joe Biden.
At the end of his administration, absolutely.
Yeah, so can you give me an example of how?
Yeah, GDP growth was better off. Real median wage growth was better off. Inflation was better off at the end of his administration. Unemployment was better off at the end of his administration. We had the worst year of job growth in the past 4 years, just this last year under Trump's administration.
Was the Rubin report, did that also accept Russian money?
What show did I do for
No, yes, it did. As a matter of fact, it accepted Russian money. It was more than just accepting Russian money. Russia was paying him an obscene amount of money, millions and millions of dollars per year, basically to just like for almost nothing. It was very clear that it was a bribe or that they were just trying to support it. They paid him millions per year for the right to license his episodes to play them on their own channel. And it's like absurd to think that he didn't see clear through that. Like, what? Anyway, yes, he was bribed by Russia.
I'm not saying you did a show for Russia. I'm saying Russia saw you as a stooge who could easily say the talking points that benefited them.
But what law?
Yeah, 100%. I know a good bit about this subject. We'll get to it.
Is stopping you from doing anything that another person cannot do.
Laws are not protecting trans people. If they were, trans people would not be disproportionately unemployed, unhoused.
What would you like the law to do for you? Again, the law can guarantee equality. It can't guarantee protection, right? So
yes, it certainly can.
So like what? The law can't guarantee protection. What the f*** are you smoking? Is that not literally what the law is for? To guarantee protection? What an absolutely wild thing to say.
Has wokeness pushed America past the breaking point, or is the progressive movement the only answer to MAGA? I'm John Regalado, and from Jubilee Media, this is Surrounded. We're one break.
Is progressivism the only answer to MAGA? No. In no way, shape, or form is it the only answer to MAGA. You know what the answer to MAGA is? Building coalitions with everybody, not excluding a single individual. They learned this the hard way in Germany when the communists and the Catholics didn't trust each other. Building coalitions and agreeing to work together to destroy this political movement permanently. Jail everybody above a certain level. The pilot who flew the scumbags around, who flew Mike Lindell's jet to get the January 6th people there, put that motherfucker in prison. Why the fuck is he walking around? That's where we start. The bureaucrats, the arch criminals, and the informants all get a different degree of punishment. That's how denazification worked. That's the answer to MAGA.
Soul faces a room full of disagreeers. Today we're unpacking what it means to be far left, the backlash to wokeness, and what your vote stands for in the upcoming midterm.
Yo, who the f*** is this dude, by the way? Is this like the leader of Jubilee or something?
I'm here with our featured guest, conservative commentator Dave Rubin. Welcome.
It's good to be here.
Are y'all ready to debate, Dave? Let's begin.
I'm Dave Rubin of the Rubin Report, and today I'm surrounded by the far left.
Okay, I don't like progressives are not far left. You know who's far left in the United States? Communists who advocate for a stateless, classless, moneyless society. That's far left. I wouldn't even say socialists are far left. You know, socialists, people who advocate for strong unions and worker co-ops instead of privately owned businesses. They're owned by the workers themselves. That would be left. Communist, I would say, is far left. Progressives, who are still fucking capitalists, are not far left, okay? In any context. If left-leaning capitalists are far left to you, that should say something about the society that you now live in, right?
My first surrounded claim is that wokeism did more damage to America than Trump ever did.
All right, if you would like to debate this claim, please get to the center in 3, 2, 1.
He's quick.
I'm surprised that Parker didn't jump in, and I'm surprised that Parker isn't like being given this platform directly. He's very, very big and influential on the TikTok and on YouTube. I believe millions of followers, if I'm not mistaken. By the way, I'd appreciate it if you guys follow me on Patreon. You don't have to donate, but if you could just follow me there, it would mean a lot to me. You know, with YouTube doing everything it does and the government going down the tubes and everything else, it would mean a lot if you supported my work. And that goes for other YouTubers as well.
So I find it interesting that you think wokeism has done so much damage to America as opposed to Donald Trump. Wokeism did not kick 17 million Americans off of their health insurance through Medicaid. Wokeism didn't start a disastrous war with Iran that has now led to inflation outpacing wage growth. Wokeism hasn't ripped up institutions or attempted even to destroy free speech, even by your standards, because Ronald Reagan-appointed judge ruled that the Trump administration was violating the First Amendment by attempting to deport, arrest, and detain students and faculty members on college campuses for protesting for Palestine. Wokeism...
Hang on. Fact check says Reagan-appointed Judge William G. Young of the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts ruled on September 29th to 30th, 2025 in AAUP versus Rubio that the Trump administration's ideological deportation policy, arresting, detaining, and seeking to deport non-citizen students and faculty for pro-Palestinian campus advocacy, violated the First Amendment. I remember this was because this girl, basically, she was a legal immigrant. She was here legally. She had all of her paperwork, and she was going to school here. And they arrested her and threw her into a fucking concentration camp because she wrote an op-ed about Israel, negative about Israel. That shit was wild. I remember that. That was fucking insane when that shit happened. And it's still kind of going down.
It doesn't even have remotely as disastrous as a track record as Donald Trump.
Well, how would you define wokeism? I guess we should start with that.
I think wokeism is a pejorative term that's used to describe left-wing cultural politics.
Right. And what do you think left-wing cultural politics are?
I'd say left-wing cultural politics include just the broad attitudes towards social justice, especially for minority groups that have faced persecution in various ways.
Okay, so I think the simplest way to define wokeism is basically collectivism on steroids, and usually as it applies to race.
You know what's really funny about this? Collectivism versus individualism and all of that shit. They like to throw this word collectivism around. What's good for the group is what we should do, right? That's the portrayal from the right, that the left believes that what's best for the group is what we should do. In reality, fascism is the ultimate form of collectivism. It is conform or die. What's best for the group in MAGA's eyes? Not being gay. They come up with all kinds of different reasons, you know, you can't reproduce if you're gay, or it's just not normal, or we want traditional values, or whatever other shit. But at the end of the day, fascism is conform or else. It is the ultimate form of collectivism. You must do what we want as the majority group in the United States. You must follow our expectations, or we will fucking destroy you. The left doesn't want collectivism. Hilariously, the left in the United States right now wants individualism. I'm gay. I want to live the life that I want to live without you fucking with it. I want you to leave me alone and let me do my thing. The roles have reversed, and Dave Rubin apparently never got the memo that they reversed. Republicans are about collectivism fully.
And gender, meaning that you should be judged based on the color. You actually should be judged based on the color of your skin and your sexuality and your gender.
Nobody wants that. Nobody is advocating for that except for the right, the far right, the fascists. If you don't conform, then we have a problem with you. And if you can't conform, then we're going to fucking destroy you because you're black or whatever, because you're Mexican, you're an immigrant, you're an other. You are evil in our eyes. I'm not going to accept an other being in my country. What the fuck do you think MAGA is? He's literally describing MAGA right now. Conform or else. Are you kidding me?
And a whole bunch of immutable characteristics, and depending on where those fall on the left's kind of hierarchy of importance, that's kind of how you can parse out where people should be and how important their ideas are.
There's no hierarchy of importance. We want things to be equal. We want it to be fair. We want people to be able to walk down the street without being harassed, whether they're black or white, regardless of skin color. And Dave Rubin is pretending that us caring about the fact that black people can't walk down the street safely without being fucking harassed, us caring about that is caring more about black people than fucking white people. What? Whoop, sorry, I thought I had to, yeah.
So even assuming your characterization to be an accurate characterization, which I don't necessarily take,
right?
Nonsense.
We're gonna have a lot of trouble getting to a fair agreement on
that
wokeism.
Wokeism has, for example, skyrocketed inflation to outpace wage growth the way that Donald Trump's war of aggression on Iran has done? Can you demonstrate that wokeism has violated the First Amendment by arresting students and faculty members on college campuses?
Okay, well, yes, I can. So let's start. Well, first off, the disastrous war, the quote unquote.
I'm sorry. Let me just one more time. I missed what he said here.
That wokeism has violated the First Amendment by arresting students and faculty members on college campuses.
Can you prove that wokeism has done that? He can't, because that's what MAGA is doing. He was being facetious when he said that, right?
Okay, well, yes, I can. So
no, you can't, because it's not happening, dumbass.
Let's start. Well, first off, the disastrous war, the quote unquote disastrous war that you're talking about. You're talking about a 40-day military operation that stopped an apocalyptic regime from getting a nuclear bomb.
What? Okay. Well, that regime, or I'm sorry, the government who ran that 40-day war was the one that ended the agreement in the first place to facilitate getting a nuclear weapon. Okay, the agreement, it was in place. The JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, existed to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, and they were following it flawlessly. And there were UN inspectors in there. Europe was tracking it and agreed they were doing a fine job, the whole 9 yards. And what did Trump do? Ripped it up. Hold on, let me angle this down just a bit. That's too much. When Trump ripped up the Iran nuclear deal, it effectively guaranteed war was going to happen. There's no way around that at that point. We had a method of preventing that from happening, from them from getting a nuclear weapon. And Trump ripped it up. So literally all of it is Trump's fault in every way, shape, and form. There is not one other person that can be blamed for what Donald Trump did here. Ripping up the Iran nuclear deal.
And exporting terrorism throughout the world. And we're now in an economic embargo of them, right? We've basically done a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. So to say it's a disaster.
We've done a blockade. They did a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz to strangle the world economy, because that's some of the only leverage that they have, and it works really well. Now the world economy is suffering because this dumb son of a bitch, Donald Trump, doesn't have any fucking clue what he's doing. He is completely clueless, right?
We've done a blockade.
We did lose. Hang on. We did lose 13. We did lose 13 of our soldiers, and that is
and killed over
terrible.
200 children.
And it's a lot more than that, obviously. But okay.
Things happen in war, right?
Yeah.
Well, things do happen in war.
Right? The war was fucking unnecessary. Why the fuck are we there? Why are we doing this? We had a solution to this problem. The JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal. Why is this going on right now? Why is Donald Trump in Iran illegally? These people are fucking absurd. They are caricatures of themselves at this point. It's like, I don't understand how they can be so ridiculous.
Wait, you can laugh at that. Hold on, listen. You want to talk?
I agree, but that's why war should be a last option. If Donald Trump wanted to prevent the Islamic Republic of Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, he could have just stuck with the Iran nuclear deal that he ripped up.
Yes! Fucking yes! Yes, you can't say no when the answer is yes. You're literally sitting there saying no like it means something. It's complete garbage.
Iran did not enrich past the 3.67. Wait, they didn't enrich past the 3.67%.
Well, that's not true.
Yes, it is fucking true. And that's not according to just us, the United States. That's according to the UN. That's according to inspectors from across fucking Europe. Everybody knew they were following the deal. Everybody. Do you know how hard it is to get the materials for a nuclear weapon. Nuclear weapons are so heavily regulated, and ICBMs as well. There are only a few mines around the world that contain the materials, and it's not just nuclear material. Only a few mines around the world that contain the materials that people need, and we can watch on satellites to see if those mines are being utilized and how much those mines are being used. We knew for a fact that Iran was not building a nuclear weapon under the JCPOA. It's not even a question. It's not about trusting the UN or European countries or whatever. Our own intelligence, our own satellite imagery proved that they were not building a nuclear weapon. They weren't even attempting. They weren't even reaching for a nuclear weapon in any way. And even if they were, they still haven't been researching intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs. That's another thing that's really, really hard to get right, to accomplish. You have to have a lot of testing going on to get ICBMs right. And they weren't even trying under the JCPOA. I don't think they're trying now under the under the current administration. ICBMs just are not necessary for them. They don't want to strike the United States. They saw what happened on 9/11 when the US was struck. They know how badly that goes. I think that they honestly want to support terrorism in the Middle East over anything. And yes, Iran does support terrorism. That's something that the Iran nuclear deal did not address. The fact that they were funding Hamas and Hezbollah and people like that, extremist groups. That was not addressed in the JCPOA, but they got a small win. There would be no nuclear weapon, and it was a very small price to pay. We just lift some of the sanctions. Totally worth it. What's the downside to this? Anyway, Dave Rubin is a fucking idiot, an embarrassing idiot.
POA. They only got to 60% after Donald Trump left that deal and then started doing aggressive action.
I must say, I'm impressed with your talking points. You got impressive talking points and you memorized them well. They're not correct, but I am impressed.
What a fucking douchebag, dude.
Okay.
First off, the Iranians admitted in the negotiations right before the war started that they were enriching past what they were allowed to. That's.
I'm sorry. One more time.
Right before the war started that they.
Yes, dumbass. Why the fuck do you think they were doing that? Because the deal had been ripped up under Trump's first term. Yes, they were. That's part of the leverage. You know what? This is the trade-off. Iran agrees not to enrich beyond a certain point, 6% or something, I think. And we lift sanctions so that their economy can function, so they can literally just fucking feed their people. That's the deal. Now, what happened when Trump got into office? He put sanctions on them again. Well, the context of the deal, the fact that he erased it the way that he did, means that, well, now they can enrich uranium. If you want them to stop enriching uranium, stop strangling their fucking economy. So, yeah, they were enriching uranium, but they were still a solid year or two out from getting a nuclear bomb. I don't think they even have an interest in it. There's a fatwa, a religious fatwa against nuclear weapons, or there was under the last guy before he was killed. I guess we'll see what happens next with this new dude. Anyway, that's a piece of leverage that they had. Of course they're going to use whatever leverage they have, obviously. Why the fuck are we even messing with them in the first place? Why can't we just leave them alone? Is it really our business? Is it really worth it to go over there and fuck with what they've got going on? No, it's not. The answer is no.
They were enriching past what they were allowed to. That's number one. Number two, you also have to go on the assumption. You also have to go. Hold on. You also have to go on the assumption or acceptance that can you agree or verify their...
Says the IAEA reports and U.S. analyses show Iran did not enrich uranium beyond the JCPOA's 3.6% limit until after Trump pulled the U.S. out of the nuclear deal. Iran started exceeding that cap in 2019 in response to the withdrawal. Again, it's not just about enrichment. It's about where they're mining and how much of what they're mining. And we could verify through satellite imagery and everything that they were absolutely following the deal without beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Claims. It's one thing to say, oh, this is what we're doing, this is what we are agreed to, et cetera, but you have to be able to verify that. And the idea that we have people on the ground or the UN or some third-party organization that can verify what they're actually doing with underground nuclear sites and a whole bunch of other things.
Bro, we had those inspectors in place who were verifying on the ground, going through the nuclear facilities where they were enriching for nuclear power, not for nuclear weaponry. It's a totally different beast. You can't hide that from the world. That's impossible to hide.
I would say,
well, nowadays it's impossible to hide. Pakistan successfully hid it back in the 70s, I think, and so did Israel. But we have so much satellite data and everything nowadays, it would be real difficult to hide that shit. Every time Kim Jong-un tests a nuke, we know about it instantly.
What they're actually doing with underground nuclear sites and a whole bunch of other things is I would say, quite a leap of faith, right? You want to trust but verify.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
Yeah, we do trust but verify, dumbass.
IAEA and U.S. intelligence said that Iran did not enrich past the 3.67% prior to Donald Trump ripping up and stepping out of the Iran nuclear deal in I believe it was
2019.
2017, 2018.
So again,
or maybe it was 2017. They just said it and I missed it.
In these negotiations,
because Donald Trump ripped up the Iran nuclear deal to begin with.
Yes, you can sit there and say no all you want, but it's meaningless. Yes, the answer is yes. That is why they did it. Obviously, you take away your half of the bargain and start sanctioning them again. Fucking obviously, they're going to use the other half of the bargain as leverage to make you stop doing that. What?
That's the only reason why.
Let's try it a different way. I'll try it a different way.
The IAEA assessments.
I'll try it a different way because I'm fucking wrong, is what that means. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Or he does know, and he's intentionally setting out to deceive people.
With me, and Tulsi Gabbard, our director of national intelligence, testified in front of Congress last year, and according to the entire intelligence community, Iran did not have a nuclear weapons program.
Okay. That they didn't have a nuclear weapons program. They were enriching past the point that they were allowed to for civilian use.
Not until after they ripped up the deal. And just because they're enriching beyond that point does not mean they have a nuclear weapons program. It means they're enriching past that point because they're signaling, hey, we could have a nuke if we wanted. You should lift the sanctions if you don't want us to. This is just part of the leverage. This is the back and forth. This is how it works. This is why we need somebody with an even temperament in office. Somebody who's not a fucking loose cannon, who's going to go off half-cocked with absolutely no preparation and no idea what they're fucking doing. That's why we need somebody like that in office. Unfortunately, we have dipshit Trump.
Everyone knows that, but allow me.
But do you understand a weaponization process is different than just enriching?
Do you think the Iranian regime before this war, the Iranian regime that has oppressed the people of Iran for 40 years, do you think that was a good regime? Would you say that was a good government? Would you like?
Absolutely not. They're fucking vile. They're evil. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I don't want anything to do with the Iranian regime. It's none of our fucking business. Get the fuck out of Iran. We have no place in that country. Are you kidding me right now?
To live under those people, were they progressive in any way? Do they hold any of the values that any of you guys hold?
No, but we don't just start wars on countries whose politics we disagree with or who are oppressive to their own people. We were actually an ally to Saudi Arabia, and Mohammed bin Salman ripped up.
That I agree with. You don't do that.
Okay,
we got something. All right, we got something. We got something we agree with.
That has committed gross human rights violations in Gaza.
I'm shocked that Israel came up. Israel, the only place that has any of the progressive values that any of you guys
bro
really
this is
Israel does not have progressive values. Israel is I'm gonna take the step. I'm gonna do it. I consider myself an expert on certain areas of World War II, like like Christian nationalism in World War II. I would call myself an expert on that subject, on how the churches interacted with Hitler. Jehovah's Witnesses, Catholicism, and Protestantism, how they interacted with Hitler. I'm an expert on this subject, okay? I know so fucking much about it. I know the color of the suit that some of these religious leaders wore to certain meetings. Hang on.
Any of the progressive values.
And I'm telling you, Israel is effectively a Nazi government. It is indistinguishable. Now, they're not targeting Jews, obviously. They are Jewish predominantly. But they're targeting minorities in an identical way to how the Nazis did. They're even targeting religious groups the same way the Nazis did. They are running a genocide right now. To claim that Israel is a bastion of progressivism is delusion. He cannot believe that, right? There is no way in hell he believes that shit. What a wild thing to say.
That Israel came up. Israel, the only place that has any of the progressive values that any of you guys share.
That is an insane thing to say, dude.
Really? This is perfect. This is perfect.
Yes,
because one of the things that you told me at the beginning of this conversation was that wokeism was judging people based on characteristics and collective thought. Israel is literally centered around the prioritization of the Jewish people as a matter of policy. That is literally collectivist thought. So
that's interesting. Yeah, it's an ethno-state. It's what's the word? It's a supremacist nationalist state in the exact same way that Germany was. And fascinatingly, Germany and Israel aren't the only two countries out there who operated off of this. In fact, Israel's excuse for being an ethno-state is we're a historically targeted minority group, or we are a historically targeted minority group in the world. And that's 100% true. Absolutely, right? But then they take that additional step to say, we need to control a country. We need an ethno-state. We need to do ethnic cleansing and or genocide to control this specific region. And we aren't going to just accept this specific region. We're going to try to expand. We're going to try to take additional areas and ethnically cleanse the people that live there right now and steal their property. That's not the first time in history this has happened, actually. This happened in Serbia as well. The Serbs were historically marginalized minority groups, and a full Serbian nationalist movement formed in Serbia on the belief that they need to be able to control their own state uniquely, and that nobody else should be allowed in government except for Serbians, and that's it, for their own protection. That's fucking nonsense, okay? I'm sorry. I don't care what excuse you have for an ethno-state, for ethnically cleansing people from a region. I don't give a fuck. There is no excuse for an ethno-state. It's not okay when Israel does it. It's not okay when Serbia does it. It's not okay when Germany does it in the 1940s. It's not okay. I'm not going to accept ethno-states, period. If I had it my way, there are a lot of cultural differences between the Arab regions around Israel and the predominantly Jewish regions. If I had it my way, it wouldn't be a two-state solution exactly. It would be a one-state solution where there's a federal government over Gaza, the West Bank, and Israel. And each of those three things is a state in its own right within the federal government. Israel loses the right to control a military or an intelligence apparatus or anything. They have lost that privilege when they started literally genociding people with it. But there would be a federal government over top of Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank that was mixed, that was desegregated, integrated, mixed military units. The nuclear program would be completely dismantled. It would be taken away completely. That's how I would structure this if it were up to me. And it would take at least 10 years and a lot of pressure from the outside world. And unfortunately, things don't happen on 10-year timelines generally, not intentionally, in the world. You know why? Because the president can only be president for 4 years. So whatever project they start, it has to be able to be completed in 4 years or not risk political capital. so that you can be reelected 4 years later. So this project would risk so much political capital. People would not like this. Republicans would lose their fucking minds. Christian Zionists would lose it. If you did this as the president, you would only be in for 4 years, period. And it's going to take 10. So this project is never actually going to be done, unfortunately.
You must hate Israel too. You must think that that's the ultimate
form of collective identity, right?
How many Muslim countries are there? How many Muslim countries?
Okay, so you're just pivoting?
No.
Yeah, I don't know what this has to do with anything or why it fucking matters. I don't know. 10? No, I think Muslim majority countries, many. Muslim controlled governments, not very many actually. 3, maybe? Afghanistan is controlled by the Taliban, although that's debatable technically. Saudi Arabia is a theocracy run by Islam. Is that it? That might actually be it. The rest are Muslim majority and have, the Muslim people in them, the Muslim leadership has a lot of sway in them. Iran is Muslim. Yeah, Iran, Afghanistan, and Saudi Arabia. Maybe those are the only 3. Sorry, I can't believe I forgot Iran. That's certainly who he's getting at, right? But I think Turkey is majority Muslim, right? So is Indonesia and the UAE and a billion others.
I'm going to answer.
But wait, is Israel collectivist?
How many Muslim countries are there?
I'm sure there are a lot of Muslim countries.
You have any idea?
There are a lot more Muslims than Jews.
Yeah, well, just ballpark. How many Muslim countries are there?
I would probably maybe say let's say between 10 to 20, maybe.
All right,
that's a fair. Yeah, I think 10.
You're off by about 40. There's about 52 or 53 Muslim countries.
Yeah. Let me see. Hold on. Let's find out. It depends on how you're defining it, right? It depends on how you count, obviously. But people generally say there are 47 to 50, depending on the source and how you treat borderline cases. If they say 57 Muslim countries are citing OIC membership, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, that's the number you hear thrown around a lot. Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Indonesia, so on and so forth. Biggest by population is the point. But there are only 2 or 3 Islamic governments.
In any of those countries, how's it going for minorities, women, gays, Christians, Jews?
Yeah, I can say that other nations, it's extraordinarily repressive. But we got
to pause there. We got to pause there. You've been voted out by the majority.
Okay.
Please return to your seats.
It's been fun. Oh, she had it. All right.
Dave.
All right. Hi.
Good to meet you. I'm actually a big fan. I've been watching you since all the way back in the Sam Harris era.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, shit, dude. He was on the left in that era. I was watching him back then, too. That's funny.
And then I remember you
softening me up. Okay.
No, you brought on Stefan Molyneux, the white nationalist. And I was like, this guy just loves ideas. He just loves all different types of ideas.
Oh, that's funny. I love it, dude. He's very famous for saying, my brain is still in recovery mode from all the high-level ideas. After he left the left, quote unquote, his high-level ideas that he was in recovery mode from were white nationalism from Stefan Molyneux. Just a vile, disgusting piece of shit. I'm so glad that dude fell off. He was fucking evil. And he was a bit of a cult leader, too, believe it or not.
I love that. But yeah, just wanted to talk right now specifically about the difference between progressive values and the MAGA coalition.
Sure.
It seems to me that all of the ills that are attributed to wokeism are typically things that people find annoying. So people being overly, policey about their pronoun usage or talking about specific groups that might seem extremely marginalized. That's what I typically hear from the right. I don't hear a degradation of society unless it's the far theocratic right. And I don't think that you ascribe to that. Would you call yourself a theocrat?
I wrote the best-selling book on classical liberalism, so it's funny, I get called a conservative all the time.
You are a fucking conservative, Dave. Quit pretending otherwise, really. It's painfully stupid.
Actually happen to be a liberal in the truest sense of liberal.
You should join the circle.
Well,
he's not a liberal. When he says liberally, what he really means is classical liberal, which means conservative. It's like using the term neoliberal. That's not liberal. That's something very different than liberal, than our collective understanding of the word liberal. Neoliberal, classical liberal, they're all different. And trying to smuggle in the term liberal by calling himself a classical liberal tells me that either he doesn't know what the fuck that word even means, or he's intentionally being deceptive here.
Well, progressives are not liberal as a general rule of thought. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I just feel like that type of like annoyance that wokeism presents to the world is a lot less dangerous than like, I don't know, the coalition that you're a part of that like condemns people for having children when they're in gay marriages.
Which is exactly what happened to Dave Rubin, yes.
Or says things like, you know, people that are of particular sexual orientations don't deserve the same equal rights. Well, would you say that that's something that's dangerous?
A coalition is going to have all sorts of people in it. So it's like MAGA, if we were talking
ideological
about
diversity.
Yeah, if we were talking about what MAGA is, what I like about MAGA actually is that it's not a specific set of you have to believe this exact set, right?
I'm sorry, fucking what? It is a fascist ideology, and fascism at the end of the day is conform or else. Conform or else. We don't think that being gay is good for society, so you need to conform to our standards and expectations and way of life or get the fuck out. We have the unique right to control the country. You don't. And who we is varies from person to person, but at a bare minimum, it's Donald Trump within MAGA. At a bare minimum, it's anybody to the right of hunting immigrants for sport. Fascism is the ultimate collectivist movement. And right now, the left in the United States has been centered around freedom of choice. If I'm gay, I want the right to be able to live my life as a gay person without being harassed and attacked and mistreated and all of that shit. That's what the left is all about in the United States right now. He's got this exactly backwards, and I have to wonder if that's intentional, if he's like lying about it, or if he's just that fucking uninformed. I'm being polite by saying that, by giving him that grace.
Right.
You have to believe these exact
some people in MAGA can
things.
believe like gay couples can have kids, and others can believe like that's degeneracy and those people need to be jailed. Well, those are like the difference of ideas.
Well, actually, the tough answer to that is yes.
Oh.
As long as you're not trying to litigate someone's life. I am around a lot.
Brother, that's literally exactly what they were doing. They were litigating your life, Dave. You certainly remember that, right? They tore his life apart when he announced that he was having children. He was adopting a child, I think, with his gay spouse. And they destroyed him for it. It was insane. I honestly had never seen that level of backlash against a right-wing figure from the right. I don't know how he survived it, truthfully. It was insane.
Conservatives all the time, and particularly Christian conservatives, let's say, they generally are not for gay marriage. By the way, there's not one mosque in the United States that performs gay marriages, which is worth noting.
Why are you so focused on Muslims today?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. That's not a problem in the United States because Muslims have absolutely no power in the US. Yes, do I want them to change that? Absolutely. But getting mosques to perform gay marriages isn't even the first step on the road to changing that. You have to change so much shit about the culture to get this to work. I don't care about that right now. I care about the people who are in power, MAGA, the right-wing extremist fucking nutcases that you support, you know, those people. I care about getting them to let people live the life they want to live. That's what I care about.
Well, I'm just giving you giving you a fact. But what I have found consistently, you know, Donald Trump was the first first-time president that was for gay marriage.
I actually really want to talk about
Barack Obama was not for gay marriage when he first came in.
And not until
That's true. He wasn't. Barack Obama was not in favor of gay marriage when he came in. And Donald Trump says that he is in favor of gay marriage, but all the policies that he supports are anti-gay marriage. All the people that he put into his cabinet are anti-gay marriage. All of the people and policies that Obama supports are pro-gay marriage. So which one should you be voting for? Which one's materially going to make your life better? The entire swath of policy and cabinet members who are opposed to you just living your fucking life, or the policy and cabinet members who are in favor of it?
So what I would say is the MAGA movement. I mean, look, Scott Bessent, who's the Treasury Secretary, is married to a man and has kids. Peter.
Is he really?
Teal is married to a man and has kids. Douglas Murray is one of the greatest voices we have in conservatism, happens to be gay.
Yeah.
I don't think, for the most part, people on...
I mean, you're listing outlying cases. They've not... I didn't even know about those people. And you know why I didn't know that about them? Because they don't publicize it. Because they know they're going to be harassed out of fucking existence if people find out about that shit. It just as Dave Rubin learned the hard way, right?
the right actually believe in individual rights and don't really...
No, they do not believe in individual rights. To say such a thing is complete and total, unadulterated delusion.
Most part, people on the right actually believe in individual rights and don't really care. But that doesn't mean
that's where you've lost me, though, because
that doesn't mean that everyone has to have the same religious perspective on everything.
But you've been around the block for a long time, and just like you alluded to, in 2016, Trump held up a flag that said LGBTQ for Trump. Yeah. He was asked in a CBS interview, would you let Caitlyn Jenner use the bathroom that she wants to in your hotels? He said absolutely. He didn't have a problem with that.
He actually gave a better answer than that. He said, I'm a hotel builder. If you told me I had to build one bathroom, that would be fine with me. I think it's a great answer.
But that's what's crazy is that evolution has changed so much to the current MAGA movement. The MAGA movement today, Donald Trump would absolutely not say that somebody could use the bathroom aligned with their gender identity.
Not only would he not say that, he has actively said, he has actively used the trans community as a bludgeon to hurt the left. He has gone full Christian nationalist with the garbage that he spews about the trans community. Donald Trump has recently. Even, he's been doing this for like a while now, honestly.
He specifically banned that, and not just that, but he's also just called for he specifically wrote an executive order that classifies far leftist groups like pro-transgender groups as a danger to the country, which often the entire military can go after. That is insane. That is absolutely...
That's true.
A violation of people's individual rights.
All right, so you want to talk about the trans issue sort of broadly, I
want to talk about...
No. He doesn't want to talk about the trans issue broadly. Did you miss it? You got gummy bears in your ears? That is not what he said at all. He said Donald Trump is not pro-gay, pro-LGBT generally. And for you to wander around pretending otherwise is embarrassing.
The MAGA coalition what I can tell you, to be pro-individual liberty, yet wants to police the way that people express themselves.
But what are they doing?
That also wants to police people's bodies, that want to go after people specifically because of their ethnicity.
Right.
None of that should be
so Donald Trump is in the middle of his second term. Gay marriage is here. It's passed. It's a just
then
cause,
why are so many...
Yeah, okay. And who the fuck passed it? And which coalition is fighting to get rid of it? Obviously, it was litigated through the Supreme Court under Obama, I believe. And Donald Trump's coalition, the MAGA coalition, is trying to erase it from existence right now. Lance Wallnau, the Christian nationalist nutcases, they are actively setting out to try to get rid of gay marriage.
Wait, you're friends with Michael Knowles, right?
Yeah.
So what's that coalition again called? I think it's like Less Equal, that's trying to actually get rid of Obergefell and overturn gay marriage rights. Does that not concern you?
Well, first off, I've never heard of that specific organization, but what I can tell you...
You're friends with them!
Wait a minute. I've never heard of this either, actually, surprisingly. Let me listen.
That's right.
Is here.
Yeah, so what's that coalition again called? I think it's like Less Equal, that's trying to actually get rid of Obergefell and overturn gay marriage rights. Does that not concern you?
Well, first off, I've never heard of that specific organization, but what I can tell you...
You're friends!
Okay, let me find out what this is about. I've never heard of this before, but it sounds fascinating. Less Equal. I'm not sure what he's referring to. I haven't heard of that either, and I can't find anything about it.
Answer them.
Michael is part of. I just don't know what you're talking about. But what I would
look it up right now.
What I would
it's
say
called
is
Less Than, and it's Lila Rose, Michael Knowles. I think it's what's that guy's name at the Daily Wire, the head one?
Okay, but that's not Donald Trump.
I understand they want to go away from this.
No. That's not Donald Trump. That's not the head of the party. I have friends well, first off, Michael and I are friends, but there is a cap on our friendship. There actually is.
Friends with someone who doesn't want you to be in love, my man.
He doesn't want me to be in love. He's had dinner at my house with his wife. My husband cooked for him.
That's against God. So I want to have a word with him.
No. But think about what you're saying.
I get it. No.
Think about what I'm saying.
But what I want to say
your name. Wait. Hold on, champ. In your world of how tolerant you are showing me, you're actually showing a remarkable amount of intolerance because...
Oh, fucking please, really?
I don't know the group that you're talking about.
No, it's called Greater Than. The group is called Greater Than. It's a coalition, and the Less Equal thing is the framing in their messaging, apparently. It's a coalition of 47 right-wing groups operating under the name greater than, with a coordinated campaign to reverse the Supreme Court's 2015 marriage equality ruling. Okay.
Knowles, as a human being, has been to my house, and my husband has cooked him lamb, and we have enjoyed evenings together and shared personal moments and all of those things. Now, do we agree on absolutely everything? Of course
Well, this is a pretty fundamental thing to disagree on, honestly. The idea that you can't, like, just live your life and be a normal human being and just like everybody else. He's literally trying to completely fucking destroy your way of life entirely.